Hi dear friends, once again this is Rene. Um, Welcome into this lesson. I want to start as usual thanking everybody for all the support that we're receiving. As I told you many times, um, these times are very critical and only you can make the artist survive. So not only in my case, I am not the only artist that is struggling, but there are many other artists that are doing so. So if you have still a job, if you are still making some money, think about contributing and helping others to cope with this terrible crisis that we are all going through in this together. Um, this lesson is going to take two parts. In the first part, I will be talking a little bit about the molinete or grapevine, as we have done a little bit last week. And in the second part, we're going to talk a little bit about the forward ochos, backward ochos, lapis, and we're going to try to develop something that is more focused now, not so much in the core, but it is going to be focused in the feet, on the floor, what we're doing, how the metatarsos have to move, how the toes have to move, because that is a very important part of how to do these exercises. We can do a lot, but if our form is not working together, then the whole movement, you probably in your head, you're thinking that you're doing the movement perfectly, but if you don't have that technical training that is telling you how to move that foot is going to make, or any other part, if it's not working, it's like the first car that derails, then the rest is going to derail, so everything is going to be disorganized and chaotic. Other than, I mean, aesthetically speaking, you can look still very nice, but like in the eyes and in the lead or follow, what your dance partner is going to feel is completely different. So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, that your form is correct, everything is correct, your posture, your core, your limbs, everything is working together, so you can improve how you dance. And once again, these exercises not only are helping us to achieve tango movements, or everybody can find something that is going to be useful in any kind of dance that you do. So I'm going to start reminding you of what we did last week. Last week we used our the spot under our elbow as a reference of how we are going to walk. So in the first step, I'm going to start with the leg that is in front of the camera, which is my right leg. So I'm going to go forward, then in between switching my weight, I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to create a little bit of an impulse in order to make the next step. As you can tell, immediately I go there, I arrive back there, and so forth. We try to do this one side to the other side, and we did it only in a line, which is very important. That is like giving us the concept of what I need to do. So what is the molinete? The molinete is it comes from the term molino. Molino is a mill. In South America, probably we didn't have a lot of winds. That's the reason why we never used a mill like this, but a mill like this with a horse or an ass going around an axis. So The molinete is, that's the reason why it's called a molinete, because I am doing not a molino, molino, molinete, molinito, molinazo. So this is a not a very big molino, it's a molinete. Okay? Now, the way that I am going to do now this exercise is going to go around. At first, I don't want you to immediately think, okay, I have to do a circle. There is no circle. There is no way that I can draw a circle around my partner in this case, or around any axis, because our feet cannot go in a curve. We walk in straight lines. So instead of thinking of a circle, I want you to think in a not exactly a polygon would be the right word, because I don't want to give a number. Polygon. We're going to make lines while we're walking, okay? And that going in the shape of a polygon, which is kind of like the shape of a circle, but there are lines every time that I'm walking. So for now, I'm going to use 6. See? I'm going to draw first the polygon so you can understand what I'm doing. This is one line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So in 6 steps, I'm going to complete this figure on the floor. So I'm going to go forward, side, back, side, forward, side. And I completed 3 on this side and 3 on the other side. So I'm going to try to practice that, and we're going to do it in a slow motion. So I'm going to start in this case with my left foot. The idea here is that I want you to connect first what you're doing with your foot under the spot under your elbow. 1. I'm going to make, once again, feel that your balance is comfortable. Now, see, I'm bringing all my weight kind of behind me and bring it forward to create that impulse for the pivot. Then I take the next step. I'm going to make sure that I am in my balance here as well. And then, boom, I impulse myself and I take the next step. I make sure that I am going behind, under the spot of my elbow. Here, after we have done the one that is behind us, we don't have to pivot, we don't have to do anything. I'm going to make sure that my balance is correct, that I can hold it, and I'm going to go side. The next one is easy as well. I don't need to do much. I make sure that I am in balance, and I'm going to rotate from the core. As you can see, I'm not moving my upper body, I'm moving the lower body. And then I take the next step. Pivot, and I finish. I'm going to try to do this exactly the same thing, but I'm going to go on the other side. So, once again, I want you to like picture the shape of that polygon. That's bum, bum, bum. That same thing I'm going to do on the floor. Bum, bum, bum. 3 steps on either side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This very simple exercise is making you realize what is happening. First, on the ground. Oh, I know where I have to step. Now, I want you to, we already know what our feet have to do and how we are going to control our balance. That means that in every position, I'm going to be thinking of what we have been doing all this time. Where is my balance? What muscles, what group of muscles are taking care of my balance? What muscles I'm using to impulse myself? What muscles, how do I have to create that pivot? All these little things that we practiced in weeks before, we're applying them now. So, I'm going to talk about a little bit upwards. What is happening in this area? Okay, once again, we have our polygon in front of us, and I take the first step. Now, I want you to, when you're going behind and you're about to pivot, I want you to feel how your core is going to move. I'm giving an impulse, I'm creating a momentum, inertia. By moving my body in this shape, I'm pulling this side of my body to drag the other part, and at the same time I am lifting my heel of my standing leg so that leg can allow movement. So the moment that I go is 1, 2. See how I manage by giving that impulse to spin on my own axis, brush my other foot, and plan the next step. I have the next step right there. Even if I am a follower or a leader, see how that foot under the elbow makes sense. Now, this was my side step. Now I have to create a backward step. So I'm going to try to do the same way. See, I'm going on this leg, I create the impulse. And once again, from here, I'm creating the energy that is like taking me to that pivot first, and then the projection of my leg. I arrive here, I prepare for the next step. No control of balance here, no pivot. It's a very simple side step. Here, once again, I'm using just my core. I cannot move everything associated. I'm going to practice the disassociation. I'm just moving my hips. Then I take the next step, forward, 1, 2, pivot, side step, and I'm done. As you can tell, if you understand what is every part of your body doing, you picture a lot easily everything in your head. The moment that your head understands what it has to do, the practice, the transfer is going to be a little bit easier. It takes some time. It takes process. Don't think that because you understand it intellectually, you're going to be able to immediately do the exercise. It takes a while, but that's the reason why we need practice. There's no magic. Nobody's going to hit us in the head and boom, we're going to understand this. We have to practice. So if I want to practice this in a nice way, let's try to play with the music now. I forgot to mention earlier that the music that we are going to be working with is Aníbal Troilo. Aníbal Troilo was a wonderful bandoneonist, and he had this, he was a big guy, so most of the people refer to him as Pichuco. Pichuco is a sort of a, it's a bird that lives in the Argentinian area. I'm not really sure what kind of bird it is, but for all of you that are from Argentina, probably you understand better that. But the music, the most famous tango is Quejas de Bandoneón. So I'm going to try to do that same exercise with Quejas de Bandoneón. If I am not feeling comfortable with that speed, I still can work with the music, but I'm going to try to go a little bit slower. So you can tell how much fun it is to try to work with this pentagon that we have designed first on the ground, and then that polygon is going upwards. It's kind of like I am going to be doing the polygon up here in this area, in this space, not just on the ground, and not just thinking of my feet. Now, in order to do this a little bit more interesting, we're going to take one line of our polygon. So in this case, it's not going to be a six side polygon. It's going to be only 5. What does that mean? I'm going to have only a pentagon. So here's the tip of that pentagon. There are 2 other lines here, and there's one line right in front of me. So I'm going to try to show you first on the ground that pentagon. One line, second line. This is the one line I want you to pay attention a little bit. This line is in front of the spot where I started everything. And these 2 are very simple. Okay, now I'm going to lift that from the ground, and I'm going to try to think a little bit with my center, not so much on my feet. So I'm going to try elbows, like if I would be dancing the Havana Gila. First line, second line, third line, fourth, fifth. Other side. First line, second line, third line, fourth, and fifth. When I do the exercise thinking of my core and in slow motion, that's when I realize all the muscles that I am trying to use. Most of the time, this is going to challenge your balance. Not because of that I want you to stop doing the exercise, or like, oh, I lost my balance, I'm never going to be able to do that. See, I'm bouncing every time. In this bounce is, if I lose my balance, don't just give up there. You can do some of the things that we already practice. I'm losing my balance here. Whoa. See how I saved the day there? Here, I'm losing my balance again. Okay? So try to apply these little things to every practice that you're having. Okay? Now, we're going to practice once again the same exercise, but instead of working with a pentagon, I'm going to try to cut one of the lines, and if a pentagon is without that line, that turns into a square, not a polygon any longer. So every time that we are taking one line off, we are making everything more compact. In our bodies, we have to think about that too, that everything is going to make, everything I do will be smaller, compact towards my body, towards my dance partner. Right now, we're not thinking, we're not doing anything with our dance partner, but we're thinking of ourselves. But see, what I mean being more compact, you're going to understand in the future that when you're practicing with your dance partner. So, once again, I'm going to imagine the square right in front of me. So my first line is here. I'm going to start on that side. I arrive and I can start again. But I want you to realize everything is happening in a very nice way. Do you remember that last week we were talking about the disassociation, that sometimes our bodies are moving in first the lower part and sometimes first the upper part. So in this case, I'm using this association. Now, as I was saying before, everything has an order. In this case, right after the first step, I'm bouncing a little bit. Now, I'm going to create the energy that is going to make me pivot. My feet brush each other, and then I plan where to go, and then I take the step. By taking the step, I mean I transfer my weight. That is going to happen in every step that we're making, not only the first two. So, once again, I'm going to try to go ram pam pam, ram pam pam, ram pam pam. This is just my own theory. If you count 1, 2, 3, you're going to be able to, like, in your mind, have a very interesting way of making sure that you're doing the right thing. What do I mean by that? See, I'm going to move. 1 is the energy. 2, I'm brushing my feet at the same time that I am pivoting. And 3, I'm projecting the step. So in that count of 1, 2, 3, I get to the other side. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So if that also works perfectly with the music. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to try to do it on the other side. Again, I want you to make sure that your upper body is connected. We're not forgetting the spot under your elbow. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I manage to practice this with that musicality, I can also start mixing the number of sides that that polygon can have. We tried from 6, we reduced to 4. So I'm going to try to dance, you know, alternating. So that was a lot of fun to be able to practice 6 sides, 5 sides, and 4 sides. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is when I got to the point where I have developed the skills of controlling my balance, controlling the pivot, everything. I can take one side more. I'm going to try to do a triangle. In order to this to work, once again, I'm going to first focus on the ground. In order to for you to help you do this at home, you can mark. You can use a post-it. You can use masking tape to mark your 3 spots. Since we're trying to make this compact, when you start, try to do, you know, the length of your shoulders. Every side is going to be just the length of your shoulders. Try not to make it too large that you cannot manage your balance, or too little that you're not going to be able to manage your balance when you're pivoting. So it has to be at first according with your own body. So the moment that we have designed our triangle, in my case, the base of the triangle is going to be against the window. So I'm going to go in a forward step, and the top of the triangle is right in front of me. So the toughest part is the last side. Okay? Practicing this exercise is going to make you feel how everything is going to be more compacted. And it's going to be tough to arrive perfectly on the spot under your elbows, but at the same time, what we are developing is your ability to feel how your core is controlling that disassociation, how your muscles are helping you to develop this ability to keep your body in balance, no matter what is happening, no matter if the leader or the follower is, your dance partner is not perfectly aligned, you can control that because your axis, your balance is yours all the time when you're dancing, okay? So I'm going to try to do it on the other side. The more I feel that I can challenge myself, try to make longer steps. The longer steps I do, the more I need to make sure that my balance is very well controlled, and also I have to be aware of where I'm going. Now, as we did before, from that I'm going to raise that triangle from the ground to my core. So I'm going to be imagining that the triangle needs to be right here, or in this case, right here. Okay? So see how I lost my balance a little bit there, but I was able to manage. I came back. At first, your triangles are not going to be perfect, but that's the reason why I wanted you to point and to mark on the floor where you're stepping. At some point, you're not going to need to think about that. You're going to be probably focusing on something else. Practicing this exercise is going to help you not only in your balance, in your core, but also in your ability to do longer forward ochos or backward ochos. Longer meaning longer in time, that I can spin a lot without losing my balance. So let's try to do it a little bit with the music. That is coming to an end. We're going to wait for the next one. As we said before, if you're not comfortable doing this too quick, you can go take your time. Making sure that where I'm going other side, making sure that our brain is understanding what is happening on both sides. Okay, and in the same fashion that I told you earlier, that this counting of 1, 2, 3 might help you to connect with these steps or the moments of the steps, you can practice that. See, I go, and the moment that I wait for the next downbeat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? The more you are aware of where you're going, once again, you're going to be able to not focus so much on the ground, but you're going to be able to control everything up here, which is what I would like you to do. When you get to that point that you're not thinking about the ground, try to practice this with a pillow. Thinking just in your upper body. Well, that would be for today about the molinete. I think that we have covered a very interesting part of what it is. We're going to talk about the exercises that we were doing last week about the lapis. And in order to do that, I'm going to try to focus more on the feet, more on the ground. So I'm going to show first a little bit of what we're going to do, and then the video is going to be just focusing on my feet. The exercises, when you're doing these exercises, you're going to either grab the chairs. For this exercise, I would like you to have one chair on one side and another chair on the other side. And you're going to, although you're using the chairs, sometimes on this side, on the other side, make sure that you're not leaning against the chair. Make sure that you're on your own axis. The chair is kind of like your cane. You use it only when you need it, okay? But when you're practicing this, especially at the very end of the lesson, when we're practicing the balance, I want you to imagine, once again, you can work with a pillow, you can work with a medicine ball, you can work with a Pilates ball, but try to make sure that you're working your balance here. It's not just that you're working your feet. Okay? Everything makes sense. If your toe is not aligned properly, then the rest of my body is going to start getting broken. The whole movement is like a puzzle. I'm using pieces by pieces in order to make sense, in order to make a figure form. If you miss one, something is always going to miss, right? So I want you to be able to make sure that everything is in its place. Once again, basically what I'm going to ask you to do is think of my balance, think of my whole body right now. Okay, now let's go and practice these exercises starting from our toes. We're going to start first with a very simple exercise with our feet. In this case, we're just going to focus in the side of our thumb, and we're going to stretch as far as we can. We're going to stretch the ankle as if we would be trying to make a 90-degree angle with the ankle. I know that not everybody has the flexibility of doing this, but I just want you to try to exercise. The idea is that at first, when you're going with the big toe, the side of your big toe remains in the ground, and then you relax the muscles in the ankle area and you stretch. Now we're going to go to the other side, and I'm going to end up touching the ground almost just with my little toe, and I stretch there. I'm going to try to do this several times. I know that sometimes you're going to feel that your muscles start hurting, that you get a cramp, but try to relax. Try not to stretch or anything. The more that you relax, the better it's going to feel. Okay? Now, we're going to stretch by lifting the heel and try to stay on the ball of the foot. We're going to try it one more time. Stretch one side. I go to the other side. Stretch inwards. Stretch outwards. And one last time. In and out. I stretch. Now, this exercise is giving us the hint of how we're going to practice this movement. In previous lessons, we were trying to do an embellishment that required to draw a circle. Now, we're going to enhance that circle. I want you to focus just on my right foot. See how I'm going to, when I'm going backwards, I am switching from my big toe to my little toe in order to complete that circle. The difference is that before we were doing just very little circles next to, in front of the foot or next to the other foot. But this time, the embellishment is a little bit larger. It goes behind. So for that same reason, because my knees have to stay in the same spot in the space all the time, I'm going to touch and I'm going to show you that spot. I need to move my foot. I need to move my ankle, and my ankle is moving not only to go on the side like this, but also on the other side. See, I'm going to do it from behind. We need to do that also with the left leg. Once again, in order for you to do this, it's the best way to do it is to do stretch 1, 2, 3, another set of 3, you relax, stretch, you do another set, 1, 2, 3 of these movements, you stretch once again, and then try to draw that circle, moving the ankles having the ankles in full motion. Now, that exercise, I'm going to move the chairs a little bit. That exercise is good. I'm going to use the same exercise I just explained, but I'm going to put it in movement. What do I mean by this? I'm going to go, my center is going to move. In order to show you, I'm going to start like in a diagonal angle from you, from the camera. And I'm going to point with my toe first. Every time that my feet are about to get together, I am pivoting. The moment that my foot is behind me, that is impulsing me to do the pivot. So when I'm pivoting almost at the same time, my feet are joining them together. Boom. Once again, like I said in the former lesson last week, the more I try, the faster I try to do this, the better it's going to be to control my balance. Right? Now, I want you to pay a little bit of attention to my heel. My heel is not glued to the ground. Every time I'm going to pivot, I have to lift a little bit. Now pay attention to that leg that is showing you that hairy leg. For a second, I lift that heel. I do this. Pop, pop, pop. Later on, when I do it with the music, you're going to realize like that is also being part of dancing, because that lifting the heel has to go somehow with the music that I'm listening to. Don't forget, everything that we can do with the right foot, we can do with the left. So I want you to always try to do on the left as well. We're going to do now the full exercise, so you can practice at home. We're going to do it with the music. So, when you practice this, sometimes you're going to do 3 and you're going to make a full rotation. Sometimes you're going to do 4. In order to get organized for now, see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the front and I am going to go 3/4 of a circle. That means 90 degrees with the first movement. Then I try it again. I have completed 180 degrees. I keep going. Those were 4 sets. Now, I can go a little bit with more of an impulse. See, that is a little bit more than 180, 190 degrees probably. And that was 180 once again. So you decide how fast you want to go. You decide how your body is reacting to this. It's not necessary that you do it completely fast or you start pivoting 360 immediately. I can do 8 when I'm doing this. The idea is that what we are trying to practice when we're doing these exercises is that I am able to control my balance while I'm just pivoting one leg, and the other leg is continuously dancing, doing something. Now, in order for you to understand, I'm making a pause every time I'm finishing. Bum, bum, boom. Bum, bum, boom. Right? If you get a little bit better, or if you want to practice a continuous movement, you can do it without that particular pause. So it can go like this. So there's a lot of alternatives to do this exercise. I know that I am asking your calves to work very hard. In order, after you're done with your exercises, try to make sure that you put one of your feet is going forward and the other, see, I'm not leaving the ground. My heel is staying in the ground, and I'm going to bend the other knee so the calf can stretch. I switch and I stretch the other calf. And then I'm ready once again to work with the same exercise, but instead of going forward, like we did before, I'm going to bring my leg from forward to, from backwards, I mean, to forward. So, how are we doing it? Once again, if you remember the first exercise that we did, this is going more or less from the pinky toe to the big toe, right? So when I am going back, I extend my leg and my toe is touching the ground. But then I draw the circle and my hip is going to rotate a little bit. My hip is going to be open for a little bit, and then I'm going to close it again. Behind. In this case, it's not like I am doing this only, because that is keeping my leg completely in one spot. When I do it moving my body, the whole leg is moving. So that leg needs to be very, very active. So I'm going to try to do it again, very slow. My leg is behind. Actually, I'm going to turn 90 degrees. See how my toe is going up until I reach almost the front part. Then I relax my ankle and I let my foot kind of like go to the side. My hip is being opened. I pass the other foot and I come back to the original position. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? We're going to try to do that with the other leg. I start with the big toe. And we rotate. Whenever you feel any muscle being too tight or any muscle getting a cramp, don't forget the best way to stretch, to place your feet aligned in one line and then bend the leg that is in front of you. That is going to stretch completely. If you want more stretch, you can leave just your toes, and the sole of your foot is also going to stretch. Now, once again, I want you to try to connect with the music doing these exercises. So we're going to dance the whole song doing this exercise. It doesn't have to be like all the tango. Let's see, sometimes I'm going to walk, sometimes I'm going to just do the exercise. That was fun. Well, that was it. That was our lesson for today. Don't forget, we have a big celebration. It's my birthday, and we're going to have Emiliano Macias with us, playing some music in this very little concert that he's preparing for us. So please join us. I'll see you there in just a minute. Thank you.